Welcome to Survivor NSFW, Jonny Fairplay. We have a very special guest from Survivor David versus Goliath tonight. This is one of the most polarizing, entertaining, and I guess some could say controversial. A lot of talk around this cast member, and Jonny and I have talked about her a lot this season on our podcast. Angelina Keeley, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Thank you, guys. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here with you too. Feels like a virtual party.
Heck yeah.
I just want to say welcome to the hero of David versus Goliath. All right. First things we gotta do some house cleaning here. All right. Well, number one.
Get through your list. Right, let me start with. I almost put this in the background to change. This is me and my baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
Where's your gun?
I love it.
I was kind of surprised. That Hot Cop Dan didn't have the police uniform, but shirtless.
Oh yeah.
Just like the SWAT vest.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, like that's some kind of like that. That's all like that, and he's just like, no, this is how I SWAT. I don't do this shirt. It's mobility wise, if you're like in hot pursuit.
Yeah.
Hot pursuit.
More aerodynamic.
Yeah. Yes. So no, a little house cleaning. So we talked a little bit before you came on the air. Oh, by the way, I'm in love with you. But that wasn't part of the.
I had no idea.
Oh, really? You should follow my social media.
Jonny, where's this coming from? I'm blindsided.
I know. I'm like a hidden immunity idol nullifier. So we spoke before you were on you came on the air. You had listened to last week's episode with Hot Cop Dan and Godfather Carl, and you had listened to part of the Nick interview, and he's the redneck lawyer, in case you forgot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and one half of the Mason Vixen alliance, if I'm memory serves correct.
You're on it, yes.
I try. So, but he told us a story. Did you catch the story he told about a returning season for you?
I didn't hear the story. What did he say?
Okay, well, I pride myself in picking one or two survivors each season and mastering their accents and or impressions or whatever. And fortunately for me and you and Matt, one of the top 10 nicest survivors of all time, I do a pretty good Nick, I feel. So we asked Nick. We're just like, Nick, what was Angelina? I mean, like, other than beautiful, what was she like out there? And he goes, Fairplay, one of my favorite times. This was like towards the end of the show, and we were talking about other seasons. They don't show when they're talking about other seasons because they don't do that. And so we were talking, and we were just like, it's me, Angelina, Mike White, and we go, would you ever go back? And we're like, yeah, and Mike White's like, yeah, I go, and we're like, Angelina, would you? And Angelina goes, well, do you think they'd you think they'd ask me back? And you're like, well, heck yeah, if they do like a heroes villains, you're probably like one of the first people they'd call. And he goes, I looked over, and Angelina's eyes like filled up with water, and and she looked back and she goes, you really think I'd be a hero?
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, you're a hero. Do you remember this?
An entertaining hero. That's pretty much provided plenty of entertainment, nothing else.
Yeah. Do you remember that moment?
I don't. I remember a conversation, maybe it was the same time, but I talked to Mike and I asked him if I was boring. I was like, Mike, am I going to be boring? Because I was unsure. Like, you don't know how the edit's going to be.
Oh, I did.
Moment.
I told everyone every day what they were gonna use, and everyone was like, "You don't know." And but see, I had never seen the show before I was cast, so like watching the show. I'm learning. I'm taking a crash course learning the show, and I was a fan of Real World. I didn't even like like I'd seen a little bit. I was like, ugh. And so when I saw it, I was just like, okay, here's how they piece together. Here's how they create the drawing. Here, so like every day, like at the end of the day, they're just like, well, what do you? And I'm just like, I think they're gonna do this. I think they're gonna show this. And and in my mind, I'm like, they're gonna show me saying the worst things in the world about all of you, and that was, and then they'd call me, and they're just like, Dara from Mississippi, so Johnny, how'd you know? Like, it's very similar to my Nick, and I'm just like, if I'm out here bored to shit, and the only remotely exciting thing that happened was this, that's probably what they're going to show. So, and you are like number one. Well, it's not number one. It's probably not number 6. You're a very beautiful girl, Angelina. So, but I think you're number 1 or 2. You're entertaining as all get out. So, I mean, you had to have some kind of clue that maybe, just maybe, they might put a little bit of a spotlight on you out there.
Yeah, well, but I mean, yes, but for me, like, Matt was saying, like, a lot of people think, like, the world revolves around them in the show. I was looking around at everyone else thinking, like, everyone's entertaining as hell. Like, there's so many big personalities.
You had a great cast.
Find the time. So I never thought, like, I was going to have the most confessionals or be, like, this polarizing villain. I just thought, like, I'm going to be probably, like a normal player. I did not know I would be so front and center. Well, I didn't think I would be a villain. Maybe I was being sarcastic with Nick. Maybe I was being sarcastic because I really never was under the impression that I would ever be a hero.
Well, but you didn't think you were a villain either.
No, I did a little bit. I remember coming back and like retelling things to my husband and to my family. Just everyone who had an NDA, no one else.
Sure. And I didn't tell anybody anything, even NDAs.
See, when I was telling my family some stories, and they're big fans, like they're bigger fans than I am, they were like, "You're gonna be a villain," and I was like, maybe like a little bit, but I was like maybe like a little bit, but I told him I was like, I would never like said I wasn't like saying a lot of bad things about people. Like I was just playing a creative, fun game, and I was aggressive at times, and I was under the radar at times, like. And so I kind of was like anticipating the villain a little bit. I mean, if you look back on my Instagram, which I'm sure you already have, Jonny, it's okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Before the first episode, I posted a photo and said something about villains have more fun. Like I knew since leaving the island, and I knew since the first promo, I was like, yeah, they're gonna put me as their little vixen villain, and I was like, all right, like you got to lean into it.
Well, typically villains are like my favorite kind of. I mean, you all obviously always loved the good guy, right? I liked watching Nick. I liked watching Christian on your season, but back in the day, watching Johnny Fairplay, watching Jerry Manthe play the game, watching Abby Maria Gomez, these strong female villainous kind of ruthless.
Did you just lump me in with the strong female?
Yes, because you have a man bun. I was referring to like the Russell Hansons, male and female, but. Like you said before, and I just realized this today, and I don't know if you know this, Johnny, Angelina made this comment. She had 50, out of the freaking nerd website that shows how many confessionals people have, Angelina total 54 confessionals, I don't know if that's right, Nick 53, and then everyone else goes significantly down. So yeah. It is pretty amazing, Angelina, that says something about your character and personality. Now, when you watch the show back, you did a lot of Johnny, and I sat there and laughed on my couch watching this when it came to, your speech about, your negotiation tactics about the writers. You're wanting to get the jacket. Your complete and utter
Read?
On the 1,000-foot ladder. So let me just get this.
Misinterpretation of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So here's my beard. So, like, would you say, oh my God, I did this podcast last night, you guys, and Matt Bischoff, he has like a 500-foot beard.
How many years have you been growing that?
Oh man, since like too long, since 2003. My wife, she's not a fan of it. I gotta wrap it around a couple times like this.
You with it. You better watch out when you're sleeping.
Well, when I was on Survivor, it was only like, I don't know, like this long, and I'm like, man, if I ever went back, I'd have to wear my buff like a halter top, you know. But what I want to know is, watching back to your game.
Well, hold on, real quick, Matt. With her sliding scale of measurement, yeah. I learned very quickly why her husband loves her so much. Because I'm just like, hey, right? She brags to her friends, and they're like, really? Jonny Fairplay would not have guessed that. It's like, yep.
So watching back, Angelina, to the season, okay, and there are a lot of haters out there, and there's a lot of lovers, and I personally, I got pretty pissed off talking about this recently. I don't know if it was
a couple times. Matt's been furious twice now about
the fact that people are giving you these threats and talking shit behind their little fucking keyboard, okay, about someone they see on a reality show. If you don't have anything better in your life than to talk shit, and I don't buy into all of, it's just a bunch of idiotic crap. So I want to say personally, like, Jonny and I love watching you play this show. It is a game, okay? And I know it's bullying and it's hurtful, and it bums me out seeing negative things, because if I'm in your shoes and I see bad comments like Matt looks like a troll or whatever, you know, people said all kinds of shit when they're on there. It is hurtful.
No one said it. No one's ever said anything bad about me, but I could imagine.
But I'm saying, first of all, screw those people. But looking back at your edit, okay, and some of those things I mentioned with the jacket deal and the rice and the this and the that and doing the fake idol thing, is there anything you could go back and change? Like, do you regret anything in your game, or are you totally 100% cool with personally on how everything was played out?
There's for sure a lot of things that I would have changed, right? So when you look back, everything's clear in hindsight. So I'm not going to rewrite history. And I'm also going to be honest with you and tell you, like, yeah, there were things that I could have done like 1,000 times better or like differently. Like with the fake idol, probably unnecessary. Like, would I do it again? Knowing what I know now? No. Like,
it didn't play well.
It didn't play well. And here's the thing too, is that I really, like, it was two reasons. Like, the first one was that I was trying to keep Mike safe. And kind of wrapped up in that, wanted to play it correctly. I knew Allison and everyone was going to come after me, she and Kara and whatever. And then the other thing was I really was stuck on this final three with Mike and Nick, so wanted to make that happen. And I knew that the girls would go after Mike, and Nick and Mike were, I mean, they were close at first, but I was the glue holding them together at the end.
We gathered that, like, when we had Nick on, you know, like, Nick was that when he played his fake idol to get the read and fooled Jeff, which we didn't see, and then you know, and you're like you don't need to, you know, and like that right there was a sign to the viewers at home. Is just like, you know, she might be lying to him, but she probably has Nick's back here. But then, you know, Nick also told us, you know, if Mike at any time toward, you know, in those last few had tried to blindside Nick, you would have played the idol for him.
Yeah, I was open to playing it for either of them. Like, I thought my philosophy was that the three of us had played different enough games that we could talk to that, and then the jury could decide. But yeah, with the Allison thing, again, looking back on it, it was day 37, right? So everyone's a little bit out of their minds. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I haven't won any immunity challenges. You know, I've done decently, but I haven't won any. I was realistic about kind of what I had done and hadn't done. And
did you keep all your postcards from all your rewards? Did you? Were you going to read those in your final jury speech?
Oh.
It's just like, oh, I remember this reward. Oh, was that not?
No.
You know what? The Idol was a good play. I got to take off.
I just, in my mind, it was like it shows creativity. It shows aggressive gameplay. I felt like it was really in line with how I had been playing the game. I wasn't afraid to take risks. I wasn't afraid to make things happen that, and I think that's what makes Survivor so interesting is that you do have people who bring their own innovation to the game. And yeah, fake idols aren't new, but like one hadn't really been played on someone else our season. And both of us were looking for it. So I didn't want her to think I had it, even though obviously she knew I had it at that point. So, yeah. I mean, and then it caused her a lot.
But Mike did you no favors by just blowing up your spot.
Mike he really is a great actor because he was so good at showing you one thing to your face and completely doing something else behind your back. And that's what makes a good player. Like, I'm not mad at it. That's the game. Like, I totally can differentiate the two and separate the two. But wouldn't have done the fake idol. Even with the jacket thing, like, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the part that people don't know is that Natalie actually told me after Jeremy left how he had asked her for her jacket before that tribal. And she was like, he's such a jerk. And she told me after that night, she's like, if I ever leave, I would give you my jacket because you showed tonight that you had my back. And so that was kind of in my brain. And I thought, maybe I can get Natalie's jacket if she thinks I vote for her. But
well, the thing that's cool about that is I don't remember anything else that happened in that episode, but I remember you vividly asking for that jacket. So the reality of it is 10 years from now, I'm still going to remember you as a character and a player, where a lot of other people, I am not going to have a clue and remember them. So you were a memorable character. I know going into the game, you were friends with Adam Klein. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was
the ultimate good guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even in real, like him and Jay collectively, hound dogging girls or attempting to, epically failing most of the time. Still an incredibly good guy.
We've been good friends since I met him in like 2010. We've been friends for a long time. We met in undergrad. We met at school.
So what was are you a longtime fan of the show? Were you have you been trying to get on the show like before you got on, or give me kind of a background of your history of Survivor?
So I'm glad you brought up Adam because I was actually recruited through Adam's Facebook friends list. So I was found as a friend of his list and then reached out to, and it was in that weird extra folder on Facebook, which I barely go into because it gets weird in there.
Sure, yeah.
I just kind of was scrolling through because I like to scrub it because in case like a long lost cousin or someone's in there waiting. And I saw a message from one of the casting agents and said that she had found me through there. And then Adam gave her like a glowing endorsement of me, and things went from there.
And then
you check off a lot of boxes. If I'm casting, you're Latina.
Yep.
You're beautiful. You're funny. You're the student government stuff. Like you're a natural leader. Like if I'm casting Survivor and there's certain criteria that I have to have on a cast, like you have like 18 check marks. It's just like, okay, well, we have Angelina and anyone else you want to put on the show. I think we're covered. I mean, like this. I'm not tooting your horn for you. I mean, this is a fact. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you.
So, and you're an amazing dude too. I mean, if you want to throw up your credentials, I mean, like, I'm not singling you out for just me. I mean, it's just, you're I mean, you look at your bio and it's just like this on paper. It's just like this person can easily win Survivor.
Thank you.
And they're casting storytellers. It's at the end of the day, you got to be a good storyteller to get on the show. Right? It's all based on...
Or to control airtime.
Can this person do a good confessional? And obviously you had the most confessionals in the season. Going into the game, okay, obviously I'm sure you watched Adam's season when he won.
Yeah.
What was your strategy?
You tell yourself, don't cry like Adam.
Dude, I'm a sensitive...
I cried quite a bit. They just didn't show much of it. Like, it's so funny. They can tell whatever story they want. Like, I probably cried you know, maybe not as much as Gabby, but I cried quite a bit.
So what was your strategy going into the game? Like, this is what I'm going to do when I get out there. So what was your strategy? And then did that strategy get completely thrown out the window when you actually got into the game?
Yeah. So just to add a tiny bit to the previous question. So even though I was a recruit, so to say, my family has been watching since the very beginning. So they know both of you guys really well. And I was actually like the naysayer. Like I would walk through the living room and like make fun of them. Like, this
nerds,
weird. And like, but then I'd like go in my room and do like 4 hours of homework. So, I mean, I had no room to make fun of anyone. And so anyhow, so Survivor's always been in my life. And then when Adam was on it, obviously that wrote me in, because I was like, this is one of my closest friends and I'm like living and dying each week with him. So I finally understood why my family loved it and why he loved it forever. And I like started binging after that just because it was so freaking compelling, you know?
Right.
And so I ended up getting through almost 20 seasons even before I got the message on Facebook.
Wow.
So, and so I was watching it without thinking I would ever be on it, but everyone always wonders what would I do? How would I fare? And that's what makes it so fun to watch.
Well, who did you relate to watching the early seasons? Who, like, you know, going like when like I had never seen the show, so like, you know, Jonny, watch, and you know, I'm just like, I ordered all the episodes off eBay, they're on their way, and so I'm watching. They call me up, and they're, you know, like first I get the phone, like repeatedly I get the phone call from Lynn Spillman, and she's just like, have you got to Marquesas yet? Have you got to Marquesas yet? Have you got to Marquesas yet? And I'm like, no. And she's like, tell me when you get. And so I finally get there, and she's like, have you seen Boston Rob? And I was like, yes. And she goes, what do you think? I'm like, he didn't make the jury. He like he sucks. And she was like, think Boston Rob. And I was like, I think I want to win. And so, but like, you know, I found myself, well, I was like Boston Rob got that commercial. It's just like Boston Rob, blah, 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 you know, and I was just like, I want a commercial. And I did. Like, you know, like two people in the history of Survivor have got their own commercial. And it's like, you know, little Jonny doesn't play fair and Boston Rob. And I was just like, oh my God, I did it. So, but like, like me watching, you know, Lex. I related to Lex, like you know, post Survivor, like, you know, I had friends that were like, you and Ethan are gonna be best friends. I'm like, I don't think so. And then, you know, it's just like, wow, you got a very kind edit, sir, because you are a scumbag just like me.
Who are you talking about? Ethan Zahn as a scumbag?
Oh yeah. We'll have Ethan. We'll expose Ethan on the show. With Ethan, he'll corroborate a little bit of the stories. So, but Rob Cisternino was someone I really who on the early season did you say that could be? I mean, like, did you see your, you know, maybe that Abby Maria, or you're just like, I'm probably Tina Weston if you think about it.
I did not relate to Abby at all, actually, and I saw someone make an early comparison of that in our season, and I was like, oh, like, and no offense, like she's fine, like I'm sure she's great in real life, but.
I don't see, like, other than an amazing personality, I don't see. I mean, like, she is a heart player and not a head player, and you were definitely a head player.
Yeah, probably too much so. I bet they didn't show a lot of the heart stuff, the social stuff, because they wanted to just pound in you that I was just doing this crazy shenanigans and nothing else, which obviously is not the case. But I think some of the people. So I only went back. I think the furthest I've gone back is like 18 or 17, and then I watched a little bit of the first one. I need to watch your season, Jonny. I'm sorry. I'm saving.
Well, according to Russell Hantz, I'm a legend, but
hey,
he's never seen anything else.
Don't apologize to this asshole, because I do a fucking podcast with him and he hasn't even watched my damn season.
We're starting. All right, we do. All right, let me work in a plug here while I apologize. All right, we do a on the Patreon side of things, available at patreon.com/Survivor NSFW.
Sign up now.
Yeah, sign up now. Okay, so we on Mondays we do a thing called the Castaway Watch Along, in which we watch a previous season in order episodically, a new episode each week, and do a commentary over top of it. And we bring in guests that were on that episode and stuff. So we started with Pro Islands. We are finishing Pro Islands in 3 weeks. We had Dara Johnson on. She was on Mondays for the first half of the finale, and then we had the second half, and then we're going to wrap up with the live reunion show, and we'll do that, and then we're done. Our next Castaway Watch Along feature will be Survivor Caramoan. And I've never seen Caramoan, and it'll be my first. Like, I could have gone back and watch, but I want to watch with Matt so he gets a natural reaction of, oh man, that shit's cool, or that sucks, and wow, why did you get voted out? You know, so I want to experience it with my co-host. This is love, you know. I mean, not the love that we share. Well, one of us, but. The same applies to Matt. It's one-sided love there as well.
That's funny. But so
some of the players, just to answer your question, like, I really loved Poverty's gameplay. I unfortunately, or fortunately, unfortunately, whatever you want, I'm happily married, obviously, but like, if I weren't and had I gone on the show single, my game would have been much more like hers, because she did do the like kind of conniving, manipulative stuff.
Oh yeah.
She had a soft side of being flirtatious and being a little bit more, you know, relatable in that way. And so for me, and I think this weaves in a lot to your second question, Matt, is like thinking about what game am I going to play, right? So like I kind of see like 3 different games that were options. It's like the purely social, kind of really leaning on relationships game. There's like the flirty game, and then there's like the really aggressive, like more like Chaos Cast or maybe like Chrissy game. And I was like, well, I can't do the flirty game because I'm married, and that's not cool. And then I can't do just the social game because I feel like you kind of have to be under the radar, a little bit more social, and I feel like that's not really in line with my personality. Like, I am both social and aggressive, so I tried to marry the two. I think I overcompensated with the aggressive side because I was like so like hyped on winning and playing hard that I think I just like did a little bit too much at times.
Well, you shot your wad. Like as I said, I was rooting for you right out of the gate. I'm just like you know, as soon as we establish who the characters are, I'm just like, I'm all in on this Angelina. Like she has stolen my heart. Like this is I'm on the Angelina train. And the moment with Elizabeth in the woods and then her running back and basically,
I have some context for you there too that wasn't shown that I'm.
Sure. Well, but exposure, like it seemed like you know, going into that moment, you're playing just such an aggressive, you know, pardon my French, balls out game, and I love it. I'm just like this is my kind of player. I mean, like this is a gunslinger. This is what I want to see.
I have to do that and try my hardest and be creative and daring than just, you know, finish at the end of the day and feel like, well, what did I actually do?
Yeah.
You know?
So then, you know, we'll revisit that whole thing. But so after that, like, you know, everything, you know, your jury management, heaven forbid, is exposed. And then like I see you take a step back and regroup, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm hoping, and you know, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just like, I'm hoping and I'm thinking that this is the best possible thing that can happen to this girl. Because like, you know, I think, you know, you're playing with some real players out there, but no one else is playing that hard yet. I mean, like, you know, you throw that gameplay on a Legends or a Heroes Villains 2 season, you're right in pace with everyone else. But you know, like, despite, you know, some of the most brilliant games we've ever seen and one of the most unpredictable seasons in the history of the game, no one was at that moment, you know, at that moment in the game, no one was playing that fast and furious that you were. So I thought I was just like, hey, this might, and I never felt like you got your footing back from there. Like you know, you made it to the end and you know.
Footing, but my reputation was already scorned. That was the problem, right? So I got really good footing. They didn't show a lot of it, but like I was super tight with Carl and the Davids. Like my plan was to run with them and then basically tell them, you have to go against each other. Like, Davey, you can't beat Nick. Carl, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, do that whole kind of like turn them against each other, get to the end with a few of them, and then tell my story, right? So that was my vision there. And had Carl not left, I think it would have been a completely different game. But yeah, I mean, the watching it back was really interesting because it's like some of it was obviously like, true to form, but a lot of it was definitely, they were trying to make me polarizing. They were trying to have people hate me. Like even the very first moment on the barge where they have me like laughing at the Davids, that was completely like that was false. That did not happen. Like it was a moment I was laughing at something Christian said. We were all laughing.
Sure.
And they zoom in on me to make it look like I'm like belittling the Davids. And the reality was I was actually one of the few people on the Goliath tribe who said, we can't underestimate them. Because everyone's like, oh, we're going to win everything, da, 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 da. And I was like, we just can't underestimate them. Like, let's go in humble and try our best. But they've got some tricks up their sleeve too.
And as a natural leader that we learn before you even go out there, a natural leader, they're not gonna demean like that. I don't see that in your character, despite the persona they're trying to portray. That doesn't fall in line with who I would imagine you really are, and who I think anyone can tell that you really are.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'd like to I was raised to be very humble. I don't like talking about my accomplishments. The game makes you kind of put yourself on a pedestal a little bit, and the producers love to try to get you to, throw out everything you've ever done.
Sure.
But I mean, if you look back on it, even like I only mentioned one of like the schools I went to once the entire season. And every single time I was in confessionals, they'd be like, but where'd you learn that? Or where'd you go to school? And I was like, I want to be the girl who's talking about my resume. Like, who cares where I went to school? I don't. Like,
well,
it's
but that piece of paper, they they have a piece of paper with all of our pictures and underneath what your story. And you're like, once you do go back and watch Pro Islands, my number one ally, like, mine says, villain, funny, whatever. But so I'm always a villain, and I try to be funny, But like my number one ally. Underneath his picture, it said All American. So this dude's doing the same dirty shit I'm doing. I mean, our hands have the same blood and dirt on them. But like, you watch the show, it's just like, ask someone that watches Pro Islands and afterwards it's just like, what do you think of Jonny Fairplay? It's like, oh, he's the bad guy. What do you think of Burton? He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, it's because
he's the same guy.
Yeah, and it's like you just the perfect example of that from our season is like you think Davey, you think hero, right? You think like, oh, he's always laughing, he's so like just great vibes. He stole 2 jackets. I asked for one, and I'm the villain. You know what I mean? Like that is like even with Carl, it's like Carl was telling people who to vote for. I threw out a suggestion, yet I'm the one who's like, oh, we can't stand her. Oh, she's too much, and it's like. It's just how it's packaged. It's always how it's packaged. So I don't want to be the girl who's like, oh, my edit or whatever. It is what it is. I think they lean on really kind of outdated stereotypes to tell stories. And I really personally like a lot of the producers, but I think that they have a lot of learning to do in terms of like telling a woman's story without a negative undertone. Like, I think that they could do a lot better than they do. And
I got a question. So you got to experience being on this crazy game of Survivor. So typically, obviously, you're the wife of a military person, okay? Typically, he is the one leaving you while you're at home.
Yeah.
You leave to go play Survivor. So you're experiencing kind of what probably your husband experiences. So kind of let me know, like, how hard was that? Is it similar, like being in that military kind of marriage? What is that like? Does it apply to Survivor? Is it something similar? And when he did not come out for the family visit, was that a shock to you? Did you know he was overseas and stuff like that? Kind of bring me up to speed on that.
Yeah, I didn't know. And as you know, the producers don't tell you anything. So I was just like kind of standing there.
Well, and they ruin the moment if they do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's supposed to be a surprise, but yeah, he was in a mandatory training for a deployment that he's on now, and he wasn't able to get out of it because he is an officer, so he oversees like 150 guys, and yeah, they needed him. So I understand.
Would you say he's an officer and a gentleman?
Yeah.
So you were you like, because here's my thing. I knew your story just from looking online before the season, and I was hoping to God that your husband was coming out, because the family visit is one of my favorite things, and I would always dream about my wife coming out for that, which never happened. But his
wife left him while he was filming. Can you believe that?
But I wanted to see that. I was disappointed. Not who your loved one actually was. It was your mom. Yeah. But I was, for some reason.
Your mom's great, by the way.
She's amazing.
But having a husband and wife thing, it would have been really special. Were you devastated that he wasn't out there, or were you just kind of so in the moment of the game that you're psyched to see anybody?
In the moment, psyched to see anybody, right? Like, grateful to get that far, grateful someone flew out to Fiji for me. Like, my mom's a teacher. It's not easy for her to pick up and leave her class, you know? And so I was grateful in the moment. When I got home and started to process it, I was definitely like, you know, it sucked. It hurt. It's like, you want your person, and when they can't be there, it's like, shit, you know?
Right,
yeah.
Right.
I'm sure social media was pretty cool about it.
But you gotta be strong. And the thing is like, I don't know what it's like to have a wife gone overseas, for example. And like, so when I was gone on my season, my wife she was so psyched because she's a Survivor fan and she knew I was having the adventure of a lifetime. But she was taking care of our two little boys at the time by herself. And it was, when you don't have that communication whatsoever, no Skype, no FaceTime, no nothing, she was like, Matt, it was like you were dead. You know what I mean? And it was very hard, but I was strong and got through it. And when I came back, it was almost like we were newlyweds again. It was an unbelievable, just coming back and experiencing being back with my wife and my children. That's a whole nother chapter of my Survivor experience. So, you know, and you're kind of used to that, but being away from everything you know on the island, was that kind of tough experience for you? Did you feel all alone out there on the island?
Well, I think everyone feels alone, but to your point around like how my life prepared me for the game uniquely than anyone else, it's like I've gone over 2 months without hearing from my husband, not knowing where he is and not knowing if he's safe. So the difference is that I'm obviously, like, the producers aren't going to let anything happen to us, right? So I'm safe. You know, any kind of danger or stress is just created from the game, and it's all fabricated stress. And so I went in with that mentality and with that experience. So I think that was actually like the resiliency I've built up from, you know, we had only had one deployment at that point, but he went, I mean, I found out later, like, he was in Syria, like they were a few miles from ISIS, like working on that fight. And it's like, that prepares you in a way that like not many people get to experience. So I think I went in the game just with that kind of strength and resolve, like knowing like I've been through harder, and that it almost like it made me more appreciative of what he does and what military people do, because they sleep outside and they sleep in holes and they sleep in danger. And it's like, it's rough, man. Like, so I just, my respect for those people grew a lot. So
in other words, when you're out there, to me and Jonny, especially, we talked about this, one of the toughest seasons from the element perspective, right? The cyclones, the weather, it was horrible. When it's the middle of the night and it's raining and storming, are you gaining a lot of your strength from, this sucks, but my husband has been in worse situations than this, so I'm going to be able to get through this night? Was that a huge thing to make you strong through that experience?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, that was constantly on my mind. And like in the Marine Corps, there's like this saying, like, whatever it takes. And it's like, you just do what you got me all choked up, Matt.
No,
he does that. He's the nice one.
No, don't worry about, no, seriously, dude, this our podcast is the real shit. Okay. This is why, I mean, we're just real dudes and talk about real stuff. And I hear you. I'm not on here to try to make you get upset, but I love seeing the true emotion of this, because this game will chew you up and spit you out. Not only the experience of you playing the game of Survivor when you're playing, but the aftermath and, you know, watching it on TV and seeing all the comments on social media. It is one of the most insane experiences that a person can go through. And us three on this podcast right now have all experienced that. You know what I mean? And I admire you for your strength and courage, and even now after the game, doing the step that you took with quitting your job and starting your new nonprofit organization, which I want to know about. First of all, there's a lot of rumors that I heard that
rumor and innuendo. We always address you.
So look at this. So my wife Tessa is like a huge fan of Angelina Jolie. Like when I met, like I was going through my basement the other day, dude, and I have like Rubbermaid tubs full of magazines of Angelina Jolie, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these things, dude? Yeah,
they're not yours.
They're not mine. So the thing is, so rumor has it, Angelina obviously has some relationship with Mike White from a movie. She might be doing a voiceover. And she was apparently at the finale. And
hold on, man. I believe she was at my finale to see me, but I think she was in disguise. So this might be her second Survivor finale.
I think that's right.
So
you heard too. Okay, good.
So I've read online that Angelina Jolie was at this Survivor finale with her kids, and she invited just a couple cast members back to her personal house, which would be, and I've heard rumor and innuendo, as Jonny says, that it was Mike White and yourself. So did you go to Angelina Jolie's house?
Yes.
Okay, you my wife would have shit. She would have, like, she doesn't get really starstruck over people, but she probably would have like shit a turd right there on the fucking floor.
Nope. Man, she's so chill. Like,
explain to me how this all went down. Explain to me the whole situation.
Yeah, so she is good friends with Mike, and I had actually met her the week before. Mike did like a viewing party at his house the week before the finale. So we both coincidentally like walked in at the same time. So met her then and talked.
Were you like, hey, who are you? Like, I'm a big shot Survivor. Is that that's how I would have done it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on reality TV.
Z-list. Bottom of it.
So you met her at a viewing party.
I met her at Mike's, and I'm one to like just give famous people their space, because I feel like they're so bombarded probably all the time that I wasn't trying to be up in her grill. But I actually became good friends that night with her lawyer, who really, really loved me on the show and found out about Ready to Run and was like, you got to tell Angelina about it. You got to tell her. And I was like, I don't want to be like that girl who's like, he's like, she's very philanthropic. She's going to want to hear about it. So he kind of dragged me over to her, and we talked about it for like 10 or 15 minutes. And she thought it was pretty cool idea. So that was awesome.
So what was it like?
So that was the start. So then, hold on. So then there's the finale party.
Finale night. Yeah. So finale night, she said, like, her kids were there. They were wired from the finale, and she just wanted to have a few people over. And so Mike.
The parlor wasn't good enough for her.
I don't know who Mike texted and didn't text, but I actually went back. I hung out. I had a late dinner with my family, digested the game with them and everything, and the finale, and then went over there to her house. So
you skipped the parlor. You didn't go to the parlor either.
I tried to, actually. So I went to her house because I knew it was kind of on the earlier side because her kids would be going to sleep and all. And I left her house. You actually can't get an Uber in because it's gated. And so I was waiting for someone to leave and waiting for like a ride, and people were kind of going to leave, but not. And they were still chatting. You know how it goes, lingering. Yeah. And I was trying to leave about 11:15, so I would have made it to the parlor, but couldn't get out, and ended up, I guess the parlor closed at midnight, which is so early. So I went to the second bar that everyone went to, which I think was like the dark room or something. Okay. And yeah, so that was finale night.
Okay, so is it at the post Survivor little small soiree? Is she like, hey, I've been thinking for a week about this. I don't know if you remember the conversation, but you had mentioned your nonprofit. Look, I'm bankrolling you here. You're done. We're not 9 to 5 in it. We're not doing the little Hillary Clinton business suits anymore. You look like little Enos Burdett from Smoking the Bandit. We're done with this. We're going forward. We're gonna get you some leather pants and and some Brooks sneakers, and we're we're gonna what is this conversation?
That night I did not bring up the nonprofit again. I just thanked her for hosting us and having us, and yeah, she said it was a great finale and great season, and that was pretty much it. I think Andy, who's that comedian?
Andy Dick.
He rolled up really drunk, and and someone ended up taking him out there. Like, I guess his lawyer was there, and he's like, "You can't be drinking and you can't be here." So I had like a little exchange with him.
Andy Dick. Here, a quick Andy Dick story. So. This is back in my heyday of being a mess. Have I told this story on the air, Matt?
I don't tell it right now, and I'll let you know if you've told
Okay,
it.
so I'm at this party. Well, I'll protect a few names here. I'm at a pretty big actor's house, and there are several other actors there. And I go to leave with this girl, and her boyfriend shows up, who was on I'll go ahead. Eric Belfour. He was on like 6 Feet Under and 24, and so I leave with his girlfriend, and he's like chasing us down the road and like, you come back. Oh. And we go back to her apartment, and we're in her bedroom, and like, this is bad, Jonny Fairplay. Like, I don't know if you know, like, I'm 2+ years sober now, but this is very bad. So we're doing drugs on her bed.
Wait, 2 years, that's amazing.
What's that?
2 years that's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's just more. I remember, like, this is one of the few stories I remember. So anyway, like, we go back, we're doing drugs, we're doing other things, and so, it's a pretty wild night, and this is probably like 5 or 6 in the morning, and she goes, I just think I should warn you, Andy Dick might be underneath the bed. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And she was like, sometimes he sneaks into my apartment and hides underneath the bed and masturbates.
No way. Are you
I never looked. I was too scared. Like,
that's the creepiest shit I've ever heard, dude.
Nuts. That's nuts.
I mean, it not help my performance going forward, I assure you. Because I don't want him to join.
I knew the dude was weird, but that tops it right there.
Yeah, that's insane.
I asked him about it, because heaven forbid, he isolated to one night, and he's just like, I don't think so, but maybe. I was like, well, thanks for the clarification, Andy.
That's hilarious. So, what do you think of Nick being... Go ahead. Sorry, Jonny.
All right, so it's not the nonprofit's not discussing it. So, do you get a phone call saying, "Hey, you need to pursue your dream. Let me help you make this happen," or are you just like, you know what? I've hung out with Angelina Jolie 2 weeks in a row. I'm just gonna quit my job and start a nonprofit.
No, I wish that was the story. Now, I had been thinking about this for like a long time.
Sure.
I'm not a corporate world girl. I never thought I would be. I went to business school and everything, but I went not to make a bunch of money and sell out. And no offense to anyone who does that, but I went because I just wanted to learn a new skill set, learn how to build things, how to lead, all that stuff. And so I ended up in consulting because it was a really good job right out of school and helped pay off a good chunk of my huge loan that I took out. And but I knew it wasn't forever. So anyways, it had been in the back of my mind for like the last year before Survivor was even, materializing. And it was actually being out there you get a lot of time to think about your life,
Sure,
right? Like,
you can do some soul searching.
family, what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you should be doing. And I came back and I just was like, there's so many things in this world that I'm so passionate about that need to be worked on like now. I just felt like this sense of urgency, and it just kept, I went back to my job and, tried to brave it out until the end of the year and get through a project I was on.
Well, hold on one second. Are you,
by the way?
is she frozen up on yours, Matt?
Yeah, she did freeze.
I'm frozen on mine too.
Okay, hold on.
I can edit this, so don't worry about it. I'll
Thanks, Matt.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can clip it and then restart.
Where? Unfreeze.
Unfreeze. My computer was like bored. It was like, stop talking.
No way. This is the good. We're finally getting to the good. All right. Well, that's all. What do you think, Matt? Should she
Should I exit and come back?
hang up, call back?
Yeah, she can do that. Yeah, just
Okay,
do
hang
that.
Hang up, and I'll bring you back in.
Okay, cool.
Hey! Wow, you got hotter. Now do you see why I'm here? Like, Matt makes you cry, and then I'm...
Dynamic duo. You're the perfect balance. I love
Bring
it.
that, Rob C.
But you know, I know you're a softie deep down. I can tell. You have that soft side, but you just don't show a lot of people it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, when you watch Pearl Islands, you'll see I play a very, like, for all these good guys that are supposedly good, like, you see where, like Gabby, like, if people are casting a callback season and, someone's just like, well, Gabby's good, she's a nice girl, and I'm just like, she fucking backstabbed her only fucking friend. I'm just like, she's the fucking worst, versus, like, you were faithful to Mike White and Nick, to the, like, it's just like, she's horrible, she's the worst. Yeah, because she was so freaking loyal. What a horrible character flaw she has, that she didn't backstab the two people that had her back.
Yep.
So
would you play Survivor again?
Well, we got to get so we had a quick clip there. What was the final catalyst? So is there the phone call from Angelina Jolie to say, hey, start this nonprofit, or?
Yeah, no. So no phone call yet. Hopefully that will be coming.
This is all you just going, screw it, let's do it.
And I understand where she's coming from, dude, because it's like this. It's like you go through this crazy experience and you don't have your cell phone for like 2 months, and you kind of realize what is important to you in your life, right? So when I came back, I had a totally different perspective on the simple things. Like, I have a refrigerator and I can drink cold water and this, that, and the other. So you're out there, Angelina, and you are, kind of thinking, because you're with all these people in the tribes, but when you're sitting there looking at the ocean when the sun is rising, you're by yourself. It's a spiritual moment, and you're thinking about your life and your priorities and this, that, and the other. So you're like, hey, if I can do this game of Survivor, then I can achieve anything that I want to do. There's no option for failure, and you chose to walk away from your corporate world, which you could go back to at any time down the road if you if you choose to do that. But this is a perfect opportunity for you to start this whole deal.
Thank you. Yeah, you said it perfectly. It's like you start listening to yourselves. You start thinking about what matters in life, and the work that I'll be working on with my nonprofit, which is inspiring and then empowering young women, middle school and high school, to run for student government, and not just student government, but to seek leadership positions and get them really that muscle strong at a young age. I feel like that's what I was put on this earth to do. And so I'm like, I should not waste another second not doing it, because I look at the top, and I think a lot of the problems we're seeing, not saying women are going to solve them, but I think having more diverse voices at those tables will get us to a better place than we're at right now. Anywhere is better than where we're at right now.
I love it. Like I have Piper, my oldest. She turned 11.
I just thought happy birthday.
She'll be listening. Well, minus the bad words. But she turned 11 yesterday, and my youngest, my only other one that I'm aware of, she's 19 months, and you know, I told them both. My youngest didn't care, but I told them, you know, about your nonprofit, and they're just like, oh, well, Piper, once again, Madeline, no real reaction. Piper's just like, that is so cool, and I, you know, I'm fortunate enough that it's just like, you know, I want to raise my daughters with someone like, I mean, you know, I'm not offering a stepmother gig or anything, but I mean, maybe, but someone that's putting out opportunities like this, and I mean, like Matt has two boys that he's thinking of converting them, just because I think you are an inspiration, and like, you know, it's very difficult, I think, for anyone to take a step back outside the game and look at you and call you a villain, because I think you ruin your villainous reputation every second outside of the game.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
So here's a question. First of all, do you think, you know, we were big fans of Nick's gameplay. Do you think Nick is a deserving winner, and what's your thoughts on Nick winning the game of Survivor?
For sure, deserving winner. And honestly, given our theme, there couldn't have been a better person to carry the torch, right? It's like what he's been through in his personal life, and sorry, that gets me too, because it's like he's been through a lot. And
right. I mean, he wrote his final jury speech when he was 10, right?
it's all, and he even said in the part they didn't show is like he's like, I'm not saying this to get your sympathy. I'm telling you this because it has shaped the way I live my life. It's shaped the way I played this game, and he played a solid game. I mean, it was quiet out there, but the edit did a really good job of showing his nuances and showing what he did, and he went on that immunity streak at the end, which was impressive in and of itself. So it's like he had the right mix of relationships, of gameplay, and of heart that, yeah, I was so thrilled for him. And like, the thing is, the small clip they showed of us on the barge after we won the loved ones visit, of me saying, like, if I'm going to make it to the end, I want to go with people who I'd be happy losing to. And they actually did show that. And I meant that 1,000%. Yeah. And when Final Tribal wrapped, I mean, I put my best foot forward. I was very just earnest and honest, and I didn't hyperbolize anything except for the height of the waterfall or whatever. It really was probably
for the record. All right.
But we can get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
So that's the point. So it's like, after Final Tribal, I knew I didn't win. Like, I could tell the moment they called wrap on it. And I was like, all right. And in my mind, I'm like, well, Mike or Nick both also played good games. And from a personal perspective, like, this would change Nick's life. And so I was genuinely so stoked for him. And I thought he earned it for sure.
Yeah. Nick said that Mike kind of insinuated to the jury, he was just like, hey, like, I want to win Survivor. I want this title of Sole Survivor. However, I don't think I could take that money from him. Like it's just like, you know, like it's so. They
didn't show a lot of it, but he basically, I think he was having an internal battle with already having a lot of money, right? And I think that was a very human reaction for Mike, was just like, dude, like, he felt guilty about if he would win, and he was just transparent about that.
I mean, that's incredible. Like, it's honorable. I mean, it's there's
a lot.
But Nick brings that out in people, I think.
We love Nick. We've got to hang out with Nick on a few occasions, and I'm super stoked for him and his girlfriend, and it's awesome. I want to ask you this question. If you got called back to play Survivor again, which, Jonny, you have spoken that Jeff Probst said if they were to bring one player back, a lot of people think it might be Christian. But Jeff Probst has said Angelina is someone we would bring back. So would you play Survivor again?
We'll see. I'm honestly right now I'm undecided. If I were to get that call, I'm undecided right now.
Would the theme determine?
No, it's nothing to do with a theme. Honestly, it's a lot of things. It's like I'm so grateful I got to play, right? Like this is nothing to do with that. So freaking grateful for the experience, the good and the bad and everything in between. I'm at the point in my life where it's like there's other dreams and adventures I want to chase, right? It's like not just my nonprofit, but it's like, I've been married for a year and a half. Like I've wanted to be a mom since I was like 21, but I knew I wasn't like ready in any way. And I'm 29 now. And like, so there's other things that I really, really care about and want to chase. And like, I don't want to just have one kid. I want to have like 3 or 4 kids. So it's just like you have to think about family and like career and everything, and so that's where like the indecision comes from.
Yeah, life doesn't revolve around Survivor, and I hear you. I mean, it's
well, for those of you that went Patreon and saw that.
but yes, I hear you. I mean, obviously it'd be something you'd have to decide. I think that you will get called back in the future to play, whether you say yay or nay, but I get it. Some people, Survivor is the pinnacle of their life, right? That's the thing. And I tell Jonny this, and I've told this to people all the time. Before I played Survivor, I had a badass life. BMX bike riding and traveling the world and doing all this cool shit, singing in bands. Yep. Survivor was just an amazing chapter that I still get to do. I still get to talk to you, and I'm hanging out with my wife beforehand and excited to come on the podcast with Jonny to talk to you. But there's other things in life for a lot of people. Some people hang on to just the Survivor experience, but I personally would love to see you play again. And I know Jonny would, but as well. But it was David versus Goliath was one of the top seasons of Survivor of all time, and you got to be a part of that. And your cast was so diverse and amazing, and they did a lot of character development early on. And typically, I don't remember who the hell's, the seasons end, and I'm like, who was here? And you made a lasting impression on the game. So if that's the first and only time you ever play Survivor, you should be proud of your game. And anyone that's listening that has any fucking negative shit to say about Angelina, then shut the hell up.
Send it Matt's way.
Send it my way. It pisses me off, man. This is a reality TV show, dude. Don't be a bully, because we have real, besides Jonny Fairplay, the black-hearted dude. The reason I got cast on Survivor, I am a sensitive family dude that cries at a sappy-ass TV commercial. I have this crazy beard and these tattoos and this burly-looking guy. But at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we most of us have a soft emotional side. So I can attest to that, and it was great watching you play, and honestly, I've said it was amazing having you on our podcast tonight. So
it's been an honor, honestly. Like, you guys, I wanted to do this one first because you're both so much fun, and also you've had my back this season, and not many people have. And that means a lot to me, because it was super hard at times, right? Because it's like not just, but it's like I said, all the noise that happens outside the game and the threats and the words, and it's like, even for someone who's super tough, like, it still cuts you at some level. And it's like, when you've got that going on and everything else in life, like, I remember one of my worst weeks was like my husband had deployed, and I got all these awful messages and tags, and I was just like, I had a few bad days, and it's like, people just need to keep in mind that there's humans on the other side. And like, and not just talking about me, like in general, like, I worry about what it's like for Piper and like all of our kids growing up now. It's like, people just we need to be more kind to each other, period.
Yeah. I just like, do you if someone says anything negative, do you just block, or do you?
So sometimes
I'm the king of, if you say anything negative, I'm just like block, because I have people that I'll block on Twitter, like they'll say something, and I'll block them on Twitter, and then they'll hit me up on Facebook. They're like, dude, I was joking. Like, you're Jonny Fairplay, you of all people. And I'm just like, yeah, you would think, but I'm not.
You're like, I'm sensitive too. It's like, no, I'll try to ignore it if it's not that bad, or just mute them instead of block them. But if it's like pretty egregious, then I'm like, all right. But my thing is, like, if you need to say it, just don't tag me. Like, I'm not seeking it out. I'm not reading the comments for the most part. I actually went on a whole media hiatus at the merge. I stopped, unfortunately, listening to every podcast, reading articles. I was
Don't
not on.
Apologize. Don't apologize.
Was like full kind of fortress protection myself, because I needed to be working and be a sister and a friend and not let it completely consume me. And that actually worked out really well, because it's just like, I don't need all that noise. I know who I am. I know what my character is and what my heart is. And yeah, the show showed like a different side. And it's like, I am aggressive, and I am, playful and strong and empowered, but like, I'm also like so many other things too. And unfortunately, America only got to see like a small snippet of me. It's probably like 5% of me, but again, there's so much more. And so I just think people need to keep all of that in perspective.
And I don't want to forget to ask this. So obviously Jonny and I, we have laughed. You had, Jonny calls them your gray Spanx pants, which my wife has a whole bunch of Spanx, right? So dude, trust me, you guys did not get your swimsuits. You were wearing, yoga pants, whatever, which my wife wears all the time, the entire game. Did that suck, not having other outfits? Did you plan on only having one outfit to wear? Explain to me your thought process and what your feelings are about not having your bathing suit.
What are your feelings on the gray Spanx?
So many feelings about wardrobe. Yeah, like, first of all, I hated those pants. Like, I know I'm a curvy girl. I never wear light colored pants. Like I'm wearing dark ass jeans. Like, I don't wear.
I have studied every social media picture you have ever made, girl. You have never worn anything close to those ever.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the pants. I like a curvy woman. My wife is a curvy woman. But what, like, not having your bathing suit for 39 days or 37 days, however long you're in the game, did that suck?
It was pretty uncomfortable, mostly because it was like oh God, I don't want to get too graphic, but because of the weather, it was just, we were wet all the time.
I'm guessing like Rupert, my good friend Rupert, just being me. That's what. Oh my God, I'll give the non-patrons a freebie here. So this book, Just Being Me, is the worst book ever made, and. And I will be giving it away at one of the upcoming live shows. We're going to be February 20th in Westchester, Ohio. You can also, you can get tickets at survivortix.com. Earlier that day, there will be a cornhole tournament for some Survivor NSFW cornhole boards. You can go to thedirty20.com there. March 13th. Jonny Fairplay's 45th birthday extravaganza and Survivor Live viewing party. You can get tickets for that at survivorbirthday.com.
What do you mean 20? What are you talking about?
What?
25th, right?
What? All right, hold on. Two more quick plugs. SurvivorAfterHours.com. That is for April 10th at Baltimore, Maryland. I will be joined by Wendell, Survivor Ghost Island winner.
I love that guy.
We'll be doing a Survivor NSFW viewing party there, survivorafterhours.com for that. And then also just announced April 24th, Nashville, Tennessee, Zanies. Go to zanies.com for tickets. I will be joined by Taj George, Grammy Award winner, Sister with Voices, SWV. So we have all this coming up. But this is at one of those events. I will be giving away the Just Being Me Rupert book. This book is signed to Fairplay. Arg, Rupert. And for those that don't know, this is basically a book of people that that have wronged Rupert in his past, whether it be a concert promoter that he worked for or something. It's basically just Rupert calling out all these people that were mean to him. And then we get to chapter 12, fame. Maybe one day I'll be able to tell you about this part of my life, but CBS wouldn't let me. These pages left intentionally blank. It's seriously what it says. So anyone that has been on the bubble of going Patreon right now, go to patreon.com/Survivor NSFW just so you can see this piece of shit book.
And just for those people that don't know, like Survivor NSFW, we say bad words here and there. That is what constitutes the title of our podcast.
Yeah, there's no penises yet,
so
nor plans of any. So
no, so don't let that surprise you. And I have a really good time doing this, and we bring you amazing guests like Angelina each and every week. So we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, Angelina.
Two quick things, Angelina, before we let you go. I do want to say this to you with all the listeners out there hearing this. As much as you love Nick this season, and as much as the listeners love Christian or any of these, this season is easily in my top 5, possibly in my top 3 of all time, and I mean that. That's not me blowing smoke up anybody's ass or tooting anybody's. So this is facts. And that's because we had some of the most, as Jeff Probst would say, polarizing characters in the history of the game. They don't love Christian, and they don't love Nick, and they don't love Davey, and they don't love Gabby as much as they do if they don't hate you. That's a fact. So for everyone, saying, tell her thank you. That should be the tweet. Thank you, because if everyone's great and everyone's hunky-dory, and it's just that's a shit season. I'm sorry. I'll go through the list. I'll read them to you. You can watch those. Those aren't fun. So this was an amazing season, and it's because of because there she might be the girl that reminds you of the girl that you hate at your job or your cousin or whatever. And that's the character that she was slotted to play, and thank you. And one last thing, that ladder.
Can I please just clear this up?
Please.
Yes, please.
Okay, because Jeff is throwing out words. The ladder was probably 8 to 10 feet.
Sure, probably 8.
The ladder, fine.
Yeah.
Closer to 10. I know I hyperbolized. I'm not exaggerating.
Okay.
The waterfall.
Yes.
What? Okay, I said 100 feet. That was too much, clearly.
Sure.
I think 50 is fair. 50 feet is fair. And had I fallen, I would have either been paralyzed or potentially died.
And you were to the left of the waterfall first and climbing where you shouldn't have.
They didn't have the footage of me up there, but I got all the way to the flat part at the top.
Okay.
And I know this is going over, but I have to say this. Two things. The clue said, and I still have it, what you seek to find is atop the rock. And if you watch it back, I read the clues, it's atop the rock. Okay, I understand you can't be completely prescriptive in these descriptions, but atop, there's only one atop, okay? Yeah. The idol was inside of the wall or against the wall or along the wall. Atop was extremely misleading. And not only that, but the producers, one of the main ones, watched my entire climb and had the cameras follow me up there, stripped all the weeds that I was using to pull myself up. I couldn't get down on my own. They had to get some freaking mountain climber shit to get me down.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Did they keep people away while that was happening?
No, they did not whisk any. I had told Davey and Allison something about a clue. I said the clue had said something about the treetops on the other side of the island, so I bought myself a little bit of time. But anyone could have walked up on the whole thing anytime. So
they got scared. Wow. I could tell when I watched the show that you were definitely kind of scared and freaked out for your well-being. So the producers knew.
Saw them. That's why I started crying, is because I had rips on my pants. I was like, I got to the point where I was holding on to the side of that thing, and I was like, this isn't worth it. Like, I'm doing too much right now, because if I hurt myself, I can't do that to my family. And I just have so much more life I want to live. And so I know that I can exaggerate sometimes and be dramatic, but like, I was not being dramatic in my retelling except for the height, but like, it really was super dangerous. And I mean, production let me get all the way to the top and then tell me come down.
Yeah.
That footage.
Getting back, the whole reason I said the Rupert thing. So Rupert, we jumped off the boat in the clothes. So he had jeans. So he got crotch rot. So I'm imagining that gray Spanx are not the most
crotch
allowing.
Effective. Yeah, breathable.
Yeah.
Survivor is a gnarly game.
I had sap and rips, and they were pretty messed up at the end. But they held their own. I just hated the color. I mean, I hated it.
So there was no containment issues. Okay.
When I went on the show, I wear black T-shirts and hoodies. Like, that's all I wear. And they're like, we want you to wear an orange shirt. I'm like, I own one orange shirt from my buddy's motorcycle company, and that's the shirt but I never wear a fucking orange shirt. I wear black stuff. So I hear you. And that, not having your bathing suits, I was like, that's pretty gnarly, because having a bathing suit that can air dry and this, that, and the other, if you're out there and
having a change of clothes to air dry, air drying is a very important component of life for 39 days.
Yeah. And my like underwear got so loose that I couldn't swim in them, or else they would have just come right off. And so it was like I had to wear my leggings all the time, and it was pretty shitty.
So could I trade you my Survivor torch from Caramoan for your leggings so I can put them in the back of my
Where's Daryl when you need him? There used to be a guy that used to buy the girls' clothing.
That's creepy.
I'm hit up by a few people. I don't know if I can bring myself.
But
the best was,
do not ever get rid of them, Angelina.
Not the Spanx.
There's a ton of charity events, right, that will ask for your stuff. Do not do it. I'll tell you that right now. No. So look, this is my room, but so this shirt, if you go back and watch my season, we did a tribe swap, and we had these eggs, and we had to smash an egg. So this is the purple dye from the egg, and I will never get rid of this shirt, because it's a symbol for my kids and my wife and anyone that comes to my house. And you can, like, if I smell this, there is a certain scent that brings me back to the island. When I have a friend come over that's a Survivor fan, and they're like, oh my God, you got your clothes and this and that, and I have them grab my canteen, and I say, dude, open that canteen up and smell that charcoaly smell. It brings you back to that time when you were on the island. So never get rid of your gray Spanx. Or they're not Spanx, but gray leggings. But if you do, you can send them to me and not Jonny, because I'll just hang them.
This is from Krista made this on Pro Islands. I still have that. So, but I do have one final question, and I think you're an incredible player, and I think you're a smart player, and I think you're a brilliant strategist. I don't understand, like, I don't know, you probably don't even remember, but at one point in the game, you sacrificed individual immunity for Rice. What? You should have told people about that.
Oh my gosh.
Why would you keep that to yourself and not mention it?
I have not had a lick of rice since I got back. No. I'm not even going to use the word again.
Yeah, we asked Nick, what his favorite moment in the game was. Was his dad coming out, and he was like, no, I think winning that last immunity. He goes, I knew that second that I had won $1 million. And I was like, yeah, so did Angelina. And he's like, well, and he goes, oh, I don't know. And I'm just like, yeah, but did you know that she gave up immunity? And he goes, well, if she had mentioned that, changes everything.
No, I even told him, I was like, I think you just won. Like, I think you just won today.
That's awesome.
And I meant that. Like, I had a lot of, so many moments of authenticity, of loyalty, of like, just things that weren't shown. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. They had to tell a story.
I love, honestly, my favorite moment of the finale, and especially the final jury thing, is like, I'm having I'm in the middle of a live viewing party in Baltimore, and and there's all these fans, and they're all like yelling at they're just like, don't mention the rice, don't, and I come there and just like, please, dear God, mention the rice. So, and we see it, and Gabby's like, and don't. I was like, oh, this is so. It was a moment. I mean, like if you had taken away that moment from, I would have been so mad. I was just like, please, and you're like, and just in case you forgot. I was like, oh no, not the rice.
So
I
bad.
love it.
So bad. And again, it's like when you're living in it, you don't realize.
Yeah, no.
You don't realize it. I mean, Jonny, before Jonny played, he realized, I'm going on TV to make a character, to make a dent in TV history, right? So when I went to play Survivor, yes, I knew I was going to be on TV, but I was so overwhelmed and focused on this game that I was not really thinking of, how is this going to be played every second on TV? Because you're in the moment, so you have nothing to be ashamed of. You played an awesome game, and you made this season entertaining, and we wish you the best in everything you do in the future, Angelina. And thank you for coming on our podcast. And you guys definitely want to go to patreon.com/Survivor NSFW, not only to see this video version of our podcast, but all the watch-alongs, and Carl and Hot Cop Dan and Nick and all the people that we've had from David versus Goliath. One of the greatest seasons of all time. Thank you very much. And Jonny, it's been a pleasure as always.
So do we have an alliance on 40?
Also, wait, before you guys stop recording, I brought out the goods to celebrate our combo.
Wow.
This one, so when you come out to California, we can share it together. It's an oversized Cooks.
Oh, hell yeah!
There we go. And Angelina trying to kill my sobriety.
Oh, you'll be sober. Matt Bischoff will drink it with her. So
Matt, drink it with me. I got you apple cider, and I'll cook for you guys too.
Rice
is fun. Revenge rice.
That sounds great. Well, cheers, everybody, and we'll see you next week on Survivor NSFW.